Hey, Dan Williams with Survive Outdoors. Welcome back, guys. So Survive Outdoors, what we do is target wilderness medicine, survival situations. We do a bit of gear review and first aid in the outdoors. Today we're going to attack something a little differently. We're going to do superpowers that you all have that you can implement in the outdoors and in life. Now, a little bit about my background. I have a doctorate in clinical psychology. I spent many years doing forensic psychology. I've worked with a few independent jails. I did some forensic assessments. So that experience helped me a lot in terms of gathering data of what can be implemented in the outdoors to avoid injuries and help avoid death. And we're going to address those issues. So think about it. If you knew that your goodbye would be your last goodbye, would you not tread differently? Well, of course we would. All of us would. And when we're growing up, that is the time that we make a ton of mistakes. And part of the reason for that is we're young. We haven't had the experience. We haven't made the mistakes. So our decision-making process is limited. And that's important for a reason, so we can grow and eventually make better decisions. So I'm going to give you a brief example. When I was about 21, I was hunting geese in southern Illinois. Late November, temperature's about 30 degrees. I'm in a flooded field. I drop a goose. It's wounded. Now, I was brought up, you do not let the game get away. You attack Mother Nature, to hell with all that, and you proceed. So I had chest waders on. I get out of the boat. I'm in this flooded field. And just as I'm getting ready to shoot to finish this goose, I'm gone. I drop directly under the water, and I have no idea what's happening. Gun in hand, I'm under the water with chest waders. Now, having chest waders on and you go under the water, they fill up. It's like a ton of bricks. I was able to cut those chest waders and crawl out of what was a creek that I missed because I was so focused on the subject at hand, the goose. Needless to say, I was extremely cold, got back in the boat, and obviously I made it. But if I would have paid attention to the landscape and the terrain, I would have seen that there was a tree line there, which was curved, and it was a creek. So here's an example of a situation where I could have easily died, and thank God I didn't. And it has to do with being too focused on the job at hand and not seeing what was in front of me. So back years ago, I had a private practice. I was working with therapy patients, couples, and individuals. And what I learned early on is I was too assertive. And people would get defended very, very quickly because I was trying to progress their treatment. Think about an egg. If you break an egg from the outside, you destroy it. If the egg is broken from the inside, it gives life. It's the same way with human beings. If you start pushing and pushing for change, they are going to get defended in a heartbeat. Individuals and humans have to learn from the inside. They have to learn and be able to change from the inside, not so much from pushing and pushing. So there are three superpowers that we all have that we need to focus on. Number one is introspection. Number two is judgment. And number three is humility. If you nail these suckers down, I'm telling you, you're going to decrease your injuries in the outdoors, and you're going to be a happier individual, and you're going to raise some better kids down the road. And I'm talking about introspection. I'm not talking about an individual that they run off the road and they try to bring their car back on the road, and they go and they reflect and do a Monday morning quarterback and say, oh my gosh, I jerked the wheel too quickly. That's not introspection. All I'm talking about is a deep dive. I'm talking about looking into your past, looking into you about why you do certain behaviors. Everyone has the Darth Vader in us, the dark side. And I'm asking that what we have to do is literally look inside of ourselves of what causes us to tick. What has caused us to make bad decisions in relationships? What have caused us to not ask for help from others. There's a reason for that. There's a reason. I had an old mentor of mine, he's still alive, Dr. Hammerschlag out in Arizona. He had a great analogy. If you ever tried paddling a canoe by yourself, you're on one side, then the other side, unless you have a lot of experience. If you have two people in the canoe, the sucker flows nice and straight. Of course, if one has no experience, it doesn't. It's really, really helpful to ask for help in all situations. But if you're too arrogant and you don't ask for help, what will happen is you will get injured. You may hurt your back, you may sprain an ankle, you may break a wrist. Something will occur, and it has to do with your own self-absorption. So introspection is really, really, really important, but it takes time, and it's a lot of work. And it's difficult because when we're young, and if we have parents that are condescending or abrasive or arrogant, then what happens is in our teenage years, we get defended. We put up the walls really quick. And we learn how to do that. Doing that as an adult, you will not learn a damn thing. The next superpower is judgment. Having good judgment so you can make good decisions. So every bad decision out there is usually filled with one fireside chat. So having good judgment takes time. In order to have good judgment, you have to make some mistakes. It has to occur. The more mistakes you make, if you learn from those, you will begin making better choices. So the goose situation, if I would have driven the boat closer, if I had paid attention to the terrain, I would have made better choices instead of being so focused and getting out of the boat so quickly. Putting a tree stand up above 15 feet in the air is going to increase your injuries. Later on, we're going to have a video about that specifically and look at the research and the statistics of deer stand injuries and height. Tons of data on that, really good statistics. But if you put the deer stand 15 feet or less in height, yes, you may sacrifice getting pegged by the deer on the scent, but you will decrease your injury chances tremendously. Good judgment and good choices. Third, humility. You have to have humility if you're going to proceed in life, and you're going to want people to be around you, especially you're on a group hike, a camp, an outdoor expedition, and you don't have humility and you think you're a leader, you're going to be alienated quickly, and you have the chance of injuring someone else. The antithesis of humility is hubris. And let me tell you, all narcissists have hubris. But all individuals with hubris are not narcissists. So having humility is important, and being aware if you're arrogant. And if you are arrogant, why is that? Why are you cocky? Why are you arrogant? What are you compensating for? Is your self-esteem that damn shattered that you have to overcompensate and be the arrogant one, the know-all? Is that what you have to do? If you do that in a group situation, I personally don't want to be around you. I'm not the one in a group camp or group expedition that wants to be around the individual that thinks they're a leader, but they won't empower other individuals. At work, if I have a young student or a young graduate, I'll ask him. I said, look, you're out of school about 6 months. If you have any questions, please feel free. I'd be glad to help you. So if you have a patient that you're not sure what the diagnosis is, come and get me. If I get a response like, oh, that would be great, well, that's fantastic. If I get a response like, no, I'll be fine, I feel pretty confident, well, inside I'm going, okay, that's going to be the death of you somewhere down the road if you continue that behavior. You're going to die by the defensive shield if you continue to be defensive and you're trying to prove yourself in that realm. Not a good move, not a good way to proceed. So let's talk about the three again. Introspection, looking inside of yourself, the Darth Vader of you, all right? And how that came about. Good judgment, being able to make good decisions that do not get people hurt and do not get you hurt. Humility, the antithesis of hubris, not being arrogant. It's important to shed some of the experience that we were taught as a kid. Things now are different. They're not the way they were. We have to change with the times. It's very important, very important. The way our dad and our mom and our other mentors taught us when we were young is not necessarily the way it is now. For sure. One of the best things my father taught me was that, hey, you need to realize that I'm going to make some mistakes. Find the right answers. And that was great. That was helpful. I didn't realize it until I was probably in my 30s, but that was really helpful. So, introspection, look inside yourself, judgment, that'll take time, and humility. Put down the defensive shields. Be able to learn from other people. Watch, observe. All right, guys. It's been great. Ask me some questions down below. Argue with me. Give me some other of your ideas. Really beneficial. Would love to hear from you. And subscribe. That would be helpful for the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Keep your eyes on the horizon, your face to the wind. Until next time, be safe. Take care.